This is the point where people have already stopped listening.
It's kind of like a reverse mullet. Party in the front, business in the back. This is FounderQuest.
So Ben's joining us today from his car. It's bringing back fond memories. I recorded, I think, the voiceover for our very first demo video in my car.
Oh, yeah? Nice. My office, so as you may recall, I have a 2-story building that I lease one of the rooms, and the downstairs is a wine tasting room. Well, with the pandemic, the company that had the wine tasting room, they closed shop. They stopped leasing because, who's going to go to a wine tasting room during a pandemic, right? Well, they're leasing the space to a new tenant. It's going to take that space. So apparently, hey, we're getting back. Things are reopening. Let's taste wine again. But the new tenant wants to have a new door put in. So I got to the office today and they're like, yeah, we're putting in a new door. And then I'm like, cool. Didn't even think much of it, But then a few minutes later, there's all this drilling. It's going, I'm like, I think probably the car is a better place to record today.
Well, at least you'll have some new friends soon.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it at least. So what's up? When I missed a week of the podcast and you guys invested our entire Honey Badger savings account into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that was the most prudent investment decision, y'all. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, the timing could have been better.
Yeah, we really pulled a Rome research on that one.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean by that?
They invest in Bitcoin, apparently.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Of course they do.
Of course. It's just a dip. You're supposed to buy the dips, Josh. It's just what, a 30% dip? 40% dip?
I think I wasn't watching it, but I read that it had recovered pretty quickly too.
Yeah, I have no idea.
As it does.
I don't even follow it.
Yeah. I just read random people's opinions. I forget where we left it last week, but I just wanted to state for the record that I think I mentioned I made some accidental money in Bitcoin back when I was learning about blockchain technology. I have not bought any Bitcoin since, nor do I intend to. And I do not really view it as an investment asset.
This is not investment.
I just need to state my opinions for the future so I can look back on them with regret. If I don't say what I actually think, I'm never going to have anything to regret. So
you decided to die on this no intrinsic value hill.
Right. I'll let you know if I change my mind.
Okay, that's fine. Last week y'all did the interview with Mike, right?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to it, except occasionally I look at the chart. It's the same with GameStop. Occasionally I'll look at the GameStop chart and then just see what wild stuff people are saying about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, GameStop was hovering at about 150 for a while, but now it's up to 170-ish, 180, something like that. Yeah. I peek at it every now. It's on my watch list when I log into my brokerage account. So I just see it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I move on and check out my real actual stock portfolio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to buy it. It's just it's like a TV show kind of for me.
Yeah,
I'm just
totally.
Yeah. To be fair, I have I really don't have much of an opinion either way. It's just I still don't understand it. So I don't know. I just feel like I probably shouldn't be buying it.
That's probably good advice.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't understand anything though. So what am I supposed to do,
Right.
Josh? Huh?
Yeah.
Let's just buy the index fund.
Yeah, I don't even understand.
I don't understand that either though. If you really think about it.
That's actually, there was a good thread or so on Twitter. I don't know if it was this week or last week, but basically the idea was if you feel really confident in your own abilities and your own business, given that, you're probably spending most of your time in that business, right? We, spend most of our creative time in Honey Badger because that's where we feel the most potential is. So you're investing basically all of your personal capital in this one business. How do you diversify that risk? Or do you diversify the risk? Do you double down, right? Do you take investment to diversify and so you buy out, let someone do a secondary, right? And so you take some cash off the table. If you did that, then where would you put the money, right? Do you just go, okay, I'm going to go buy Bitcoin or I'm going to go buy an index fund or whatever? And if you do that, is that a better use of your money than having just kept the equity and just plowing more time into your business?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought exercise. It's like, the whole investment mindset of your business is interesting to me.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think I saw that conversation, or maybe I saw a similar conversation where they were talking about like even just like a 401ks, and for founders like who are already like fairly, like have at least made it in whatever sense that means. Is it the best financial move to like keep maxing out your 401k versus like investing in your ability to generate revenue in your business?
I mean, so a little bit of real talk here. If you are a founder who's made it, maxing out your 401k
it's not
really a blip on your financial radar.
That was kind of like the same thought I had. It's like, well, that's not like you're putting like 50% of your income into it.
Yeah. What is it, like 20 grand?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like a chunk of change, but still, it's not like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I'm just going to go all in on Pogs. I think we're due for a comeback. I think that's going to be how I diversify.
But I think it's probably a good move to invest in yourself if you have the ability to like build businesses. Like that definitely seems like it's a good investment in any case. Probably still have a 401k I tend to do everything, but except Bitcoin.
Yeah, the 401k is a nice backstop. Like you just keep stocking money away, and like, later it'll be there, hopefully. But in the meantime, like really, really spend your time and your energy on making your business even more profitable, right? Speaking of making your business more profitable. So this past week or 2 weeks, I've been working on our SOC 2 Type 2 audit. So I'm doing the evidence collection. So that in this case means I take a bunch of screenshots of settings like in the AWS console and G Suite console to show, yeah, we have users, and yes, we have, login restrictions, and et cetera. All the 150 different things that you're supposed to check off the list when you do the audit. And as I've been going through this process, like taking all these screenshots, honestly, is getting a bit tedious and is surprisingly time consuming. And so I'm like, there are services for this sort of thing. Let me check them out. And so in the past 3 days, I've had conversations with Vanta, SecureFrame, and Drata. These are 3 providers that what they do is they provide almost kind of SOC 2 in a box. Basically, they help you connect all of your systems and get the evidence that you need for an auditor in a more automated fashion. So, for example, they'll plug into your AWS account and they'll pull out information about your security groups, your web application firewall, your AIM, all the access permissions, all that kind of stuff, and package that up into a nice little format that the auditor can then look at and like, yep, they're good on all these different requirements, right? So you don't have to take screenshots of security groups kind of thing. And I hadn't really looked at them before because I was like, I don't know if I just want to spend the kind of money, but actually sitting back and looking at it, it's like looking at the time that I'm spending on this and the amount of time I'm paying our auditors to audit all these screenshots that I'm taking. Actually, I think it would be cheaper to go with one of these services and, have because your audit is a bit more streamlined, right? Because the auditor knows how that data is going to come in and it's easy format to digest, et cetera. But the thing is that after having gone through some of the sales pitches from these vendors, I'm thinking, I really wish I would have started with these back the first time, because I think it would have been much easier just from the get-go. So I think I've been doing the SOC compliance on hard mode, unfortunately, but lessons learned.
Yeah.
I mean, with my experience, like that just seems to be how projects are. Like you do it one time and you don't really know what you're doing and you just kind of like push your way through it. And then eventually you figure out how to do it better and easier and all that. Because when something's new to you, you don't know what you can safely ignore, You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, plus you're pumping up the value of FounderQuest.
Oh, that's true. We got a lot of content out of that.
That's true.
Yeah,
at least $100 worth.
That's useful knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the short version is if you are interested in doing SOC 2 compliance and you have no idea what you're doing, talk to these vendors first. Maybe just start with them. They will help you because they have, like customer success people, like a SaaS does, right? They have people on staff who are there to help you have success with their product, right? And if you don't get compliant, then you're going to stop using their product, right? So they're going to help you try and get there. And it's still pricey. It's still going to be, 5 figures a year, but it'll definitely save you some time and maybe even save you some money.
Nice.
Yeah. So next year, our audit should just be smooth as silk.
Just butter.
Love it. What are you going to do with all that extra free time?
I made an executive decision.
Oh, really? What's
Yes. The executive decision is we're going to have more teamwork at Honey Badger.
That's ironic.
Instead of what we have now, which is like anarchy.
We would pretty much do have anarchy, I think. Well, I mean, we are coordinated. We do make our plans, and we do have things we want to get done. But yeah, we are very independent at Honey Badger. We work independently. You might even say we're kind of siloed. We go off in the corner and do our own thing for most of the time. And I was chatting with Kevin about this, and I think we're going to try an experiment. So I think we're going to try to actually work together on a project, like at the same time.
Kevin is our developer. Yeah, so y'all are going to be developing features together. Like, are you going to pair program?
Whoa. Slow down there, Sparky.
Are you going to mob program?
Pair programming, that's maybe too advanced for us, I think. Maybe actually we'll chat and Slack a little bit here and there, and, maybe have a Zoom call.
Yeah, so you're talking about you're both going to work on the same project at the same time, mostly independently, but coordinating.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think that still can fit into our anarchy model.
Yeah, it still seems a little bit.
It's more like mutual aid or something.
There you go. We should make a conference talk about mutual aid development.
Right.
That would go over well.
Like using NATO as a model for your development process. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think I've been feeling a little lonely. I don't know if is the right word, but maybe just kind of off doing my own thing. I was like, I think it'll be nice to have some collaboration, some coordination. Maybe we'll even get to the level of synergies. We'll get some real
synergizing.
Synergies.
Yeah.
That's a blast from the past.
Maybe it's all these sales calls I've been doing.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, so more to come on that. We'll keep you posted. It's a bigger project. May not have results for a couple months. They want to spill the beans on what it is right now.
Oh.
Competitive information. Don't want to leak it to all of our competitors.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's going to keep people on the hook for the next episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my week.
Yeah. Well, my week, I took some time off, had some family stuff going on. So was not very productive this week, but what I did work on was I've been working on this little guide for Hook Relay, trying to get I'd love to get the marketing machine, the flywheel going on that at least, so we can be moving that along with everything else. And so, working on some content. And
what is Hook Relay?
Such. Well, you tell us what Hook Relay has been. It's your baby.
My baby. Yeah. So Hook Relay is tool for managing webhooks. So you can record webhooks as they come in or creatively as they go out. Like in our case at Honey Badger, we send a lot of webhooks. And so we built Hook Relay to help track all that webhook action. Mm-hmm. So we log those payloads so they can go and diagnose issues that are happening or maybe replay them as necessary. And of course, it also handles inbound webhooks. So if you are handling, let's say, a post payload request from GitHub about some activity that happens in your GitHub account, you handle that webhook, and we can give you a place to store that, and then you can replay that, send it, forward it on to somewhere if you want, or just store it.
I think one of my favorite things about Hook Relay is just the visibility that it gives us into like what's happening with the hooks. Because otherwise, like we never had like a dashboard. I mean, I guess we could have built one internally to see like what the activity was and, what's failing, what's actually, what requests are, because you're connecting to like thousands of different people's random domain, URLs basically. And it's really nice even for like debugging and things like troubleshooting to be able to see what's going on, in addition to all the other cool things that it gives you out of the box.
Yeah. So it's like, you might say it's even like turnkey reliability and visibility for webhooks, for all your webhook needs.
Yeah. We kind of modeled it on Stripe's webhooks because we love...
I'm holding a box up. I'm holding the TurboLinks box.
Right.
And gesturing at it with my hand.
We should do our own channel. Like do our own infomercials.
Yeah, I really wanted the experience of Stripe. Like if you set up webhooks in Stripe, you can go and you can see all the webhooks they've sent you. You can see the payloads. You can see whether they were successfully delivered or not. And I wanted that experience for our own webhooks. And also, I thought it would be cool, like if developers could just have that, right, without having to build the infrastructure. And so if you're building an app that sends a bunch of webhooks on behalf of your customers, well, now you can give your customers visibility into that webhook activity without having to build that tracking yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So basically, like this content guide I'm working on is like how to build webhooks into your application, including like all the reliability and stuff that like Hook Relay gives you for free. And the idea is that like if that's what you're doing and you just want to save some time, Hook Relay will be a large chunk of that. You just gotta sign up. So I think it'll be useful to everyone, even if they're not they don't become a customer. If you're going to build like your own backend and build handle all the retries, build dashboards and all that. But if you want it all turnkey, then Hook Relay is like a big chunk of that work just done for you.
Is this live? So can people go and sign up now? Like
Hook Relay, yes, it is.
Hookrelays, yeah.
Hookrelay.dev.
Yeah. In fact, we have enough customers now that it's actually paying for itself.
What?
Yes. Yeah. So sweet.
It's wild. That's wild.
That's amazing.
So Josh, is your guide going to have are you going to dive deep into the architecture of here's how you build a whole webhook system? And so we're going to show you all the stuff behind the curtain so you can build your own. And then, oh, by the way, if you want it just done for you, here it is. Or are you going to just keep it more high level?
I'm starting high level, and yeah, I was planning on it being more high level, just kind of more like a high level like architecture thing or specification. Like these are the parts that you need to build, but you're going to have to solve some things because it's not specific. It's not going to be like specific to like one system. It's not going to be like, this is how you build webhooks for like Ruby and Sidekick, or if you're going serverless, like it'll have suggestions on stacks or technologies to use for like the back end, for instance. But yeah, I was thinking of leaving that to the user to figure out, but kind of just like showing the things you need to think about that a lot of people don't think about until they encounter the problems that might arise, retrying and all the error handling that you add later and validation, for security reasons and things.
Yeah, this is giving me flashbacks to like a whole 2 or 3 year process, like after we first launched. And it was just like, oh crap, there's an edge case here that we didn't think of because we're not used to doing webhooks at this scale. And that just went on for 3 years.
Yeah, it's kind of nice having the two products, because this is actually, because Hook Relay kind of came out of Honey Badger, and it's it's basically part of our webhook system. This is basically just documenting Honey Badger's webhooks system for other people who might want to replicate that or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that'll be cool. A great piece of content, a great piece of SEO juice. And if you did decide to go deep into the technical side, if you explain the entire infrastructure that we're building, that would actually be kind of cool too, because you could maintain your technical documentation for the system internally and use it as a piece of content for marketing.
That could be cool. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I was thinking just because I want to get something out there. I mean, I'm thinking this is going to be it'll help with both having a resource for people who are already on the site, to see this is basically how you will implement this. It's kind of an implementation guide, really. But then also SEO, it should help get us in more search results. So, And I also want to credit Ben Ornstein and Tuple. They have a great pair programming guide, which was kind of a inspiration for this idea. I just really like the format that they used, and I just think it's a great idea. If you have a product that's highly targeted or focused on how to, on one specific thing and doing it really well, I think it's maybe even a great alternative to a blog, for instance. You can kind of get some of the same benefits of having a blog, but without actually having to create a blog with a lot of different variety of topics and things.
Speaking of the blog, I was talking to Harris, our sales guru, about our blog strategy. And I said, yeah, it's basically like a flypaper strategy. It's we want it to be super sticky and attract all the great developers. They come and see the content and they love it. And they're oh, let me check out this Honey Badger thing. Not particularly novel, but I like the flypaper idea. want them to stick.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. And also, like, for a long time, I kind of poo-pooed SEO because in my mind, SEO was like very scammy. Like, I don't know, like I learned about SEO in the days of like link farming and all that. And I just didn't want to be involved in that.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're just going to put out good content and that'll be enough. And, it is, yes. But also like I've looked at some metrics since then that make it clear that, the majority of good things that happen because of our blog actually are people entering through search queries. It's not like that really outweighs people like sharing articles and doing stuff like that, which I guess is kind of obvious that it would be that way. But my own, I guess, bias against, search kind of just made me not see that for a while. So yeah. So maybe trying to pick some possible low-hanging fruit. I mean, we've tried to make our site like search engine friendly, but we haven't really done any like explicit SEO type activities.
Yeah, I went recently through our documentation and kind of just tweaked just small things on a bunch of pages, like headlines and some of the meta tags and stuff, but mostly like headlines and content on page was what I was focusing on. I wasn't using any particular tool to like measure before and after results, but it does seem like it bumped us up in some of the results for just general, like people searching for more general terms, like Ruby error tracking, for example, which are typically pretty competitive terms. But I think we rank pretty well for some of those terms these days. I think we've been around enough, and we're one of the options that come up. So it does seem like, yeah, if you actually target the terms, it actually does what they say it does, which is good to know.
Yeah.
You just got to pay attention to it.
So the moral of the story is there is some value in SEO.
Yeah, well, and I think documentation sites, like your documentation is a great like place to optimize SEO, because like a lot of times, especially for those, maybe not for like the long tail and like searches, like a blog is great for that, like what you were talking about with the flypaper, Ben. But for people who are like actually searching for what you do, I think like a lot of times like documentation pops up and like first in a lot of cases when I'm searching for things. And yeah, so don't overlook it like we did.
Yeah. Well, this week, I guess the main thing I did was I got our authors lined out for the next quarter of intelligence briefings. So if you haven't been playing along at home, we're having some intelligence briefings created, basically everything that's going on in a certain language community for the quarter. And this grew out of Josh's need because he deals a lot with he's basically in charge of our client libraries, and we have libraries in a variety of languages. So we wanted to, and sort of keeping up with those languages and what's going on is a real pain in the ass. So we're going to make these guides originally for him, but then also we're like, this would be really great content to publish. And I've already got like this, system with authors who want to write about programming languages. And so, let's see if we can make some authors like make these summaries. And so far, yeah, I'm pretty happy. We had 4 or 5 of them created, and we're not publishing them because they were for a previous quarter. And this was just kind of like a trial run to see if the results were going to be okay. And I think they were. Like, I think the results were pretty good. We got some feedback from you too, and I sort of updated my process and updated the template that all the authors are using. And so we should be getting round 2 done. Hopefully people will be able to, like, I'm setting the deadline like a week after the end of the quarter. My hope is, if they get them to me then, then I'll have like a week to get them up on our blog or wherever, and then they won't be too out of date by the time people see them.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm excited to see the next batch. My favorite thing from the reports were the ones where they kind of like wrote some original content, like summarizing things or sections or whatever. Like that was like super useful, because you can kind of just like, there's a little bit of a story element to it that's specific to the quarter or whatever that you don't really get from just like, if you just aggregate like everything, like all the weekly newsletters and what happened on Reddit and what happened on Twitter. Like if you just like dump that all in a document, it's a bit of an overload. So it's nice to have the summary and like the story of like what the community was interested in, and here are some articles that they talked about.
Like that's the whole idea, is to have somebody who knows the community kind of explain to you what's going on, as opposed to just like if I wanted a bunch of links, I could just like write a little script to scrape links from places, and it wouldn't be very useful. What's useful is having people who know this, who know the environment, being like, hey, this is what's going on, this is why it's important. And so that's going to be something I guess I need to look for explicitly when I get this round of reports back.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to start calling them like secret agents or something, or instead of authors, or like detectives,
operatives. Yeah,
Assets. That's our detective service, investigators.
Yeah, I think having that analysis of why this news is important, or why these things are important that they've collected is really handy, because the links are great, like you said. Like I could just write a script to collect them, but having someone with that context in the community saying, okay, and it's important because, and this is why you should pay attention. And I think that's really helpful to someone who's maybe not as deep into that every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And also knowing what to surface, because there was like one report that like just it really seemed to like just dump every single like link or article that was discussed or was in a newsletter or whatever. And I think it's more helpful if it's on a quarterly level, like if you know like what is actually like the important things that you really want to know about. And
that's true. I just made a note for myself to go back and explicitly just kind of mention that to people, because I realized I didn't put it in the instructions anywhere. But like I put like, here's where a description of the content goes, but I didn't really put what I want inside that description, I realized. So I'm going to do that.
We're iterating in real time here.
Oh yeah. This is where the work gets done.
Well, and pretty soon we'll have hopefully some good examples that we can show future authors or detectives or whatever we're calling them.
Definitely. I mean, I'm going to call them authors because they're already like in the blog system as authors, and like it just seems like
agents.
I don't know. I got to be able to talk to these people with a straight face.
You can call them research specialists, but then you might have to pay them more.
I don't know. I think I'm paying pretty well, honestly. Like I think I'm paying pretty well for looking at, I don't know how many weeks is a quarter? 12 weeks of newsletters and just telling me what's going on. I think I'm paying pretty well.
Yeah. You don't need to talk to them with a straight face, though. You need to talk to them with like sunglasses on, smoking a cigarette in a diner, like like a dive bar somewhere.
Smiling. Those people are smiling. Oh, that's right. I can do that. I just realized that it's 2 weeks since my second vaccine, so I'm ready to go out and recruit secret agents.
To party.
Yeah. Right. I'm very anxious about being with people in public now, but that's not a topic for this conversation.
Yeah. We'll ease back into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to have dinner with my sister-in-law on Saturday, and I'm just like, okay, Starr, you can do this. You can do this. Yeah. And I guess the other thing that we did this week is we are doing a trial run of Twist as a replacement for Basecamp messages, the message board on Basecamp. And yeah, so basically the long and short of it is the whole like Basecamp BS just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth in particular. I think in y'all's mouth a little bit, or maybe you're neutral. I don't care. Or that sounded really harsh.
You can be honest with us, Starr. Yeah. We could take it.
No, I didn't mean to sound that harsh. I was mean like I'm not trying to put my opinions onto you, is what I'm saying. But I just felt kind of gross using Basecamp. Also, like, if I'm being honest, I never really enjoyed Basecamp as a product. Like, it's got a couple things that just really rubbed me the wrong way.
We were kind of talking of like we having some vague conversations in the past. Like, we have posed like, do we really want to keep this part of what we're using Basecamp for? So, and we were already using like a subset of it. So, yeah, it wasn't totally out of the blue.
Yeah, and we weren't even using like, I don't know, we were using maybe 20% of Basecamp, just the message boards feature. So
and the check-ins, which apparently we all
nobody liked, but we all kept using for some reason. Ben was like, "Can I turn off the check-ins?" And I'm like, "I thought you were the only reason we were doing the check-ins. It's because I thought you liked that."
I think I was the only reason we were doing the check-ins.
Because Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I started it, I was like, yeah, I really don't know what's going on, because back to that siloed, independent, off in the corner thing, it'd be nice to know what people are doing, right? But yeah, lately I've been like, this is just a drag. So I'm like, would anybody be upset if this went away? And everyone's like, please take it away.
Everyone is just just passively aggressively answering them. And
everyone
it wasn't
that. And no one.
It wasn't that bad, but
I'm like,
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, Kevin used them too, but yeah.
So
anyway.
I finally, gave everyone permission to tell me that it was not okay, and now we no longer do it.
There you go. And we're just like, while we're at it, just ditch Basecamp. No. So we've been trying a new system called Twist. Twist is essentially it's like threaded discussions, right? I figured this out on my own. I'm very proud of myself. So you have threads, you have lots of threads, and you twist them together to make like yarn or something, some sort of textile. So
beautiful sweater.
That's why it's called Twist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful sweater, tapestry that is honey badger. And so far, I've really been enjoying it. I find the UI to be a lot better. Like there was one bug that we found that I reported, so hopefully that'll get fixed. And it doesn't really bother me that much. Like, yeah, it's amazing sometimes how the UI of an application can just be like, I'm having to like parse less information just to do my task.
It's much nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does feel like a lot less friction for our use case.
Yep. Well, we talked about that, just the structure, like the structure, the way that you structure like conversation and organize things in a product, like a management tool like that makes a big difference. And in Basecamp, like would create Basecamp, like Basecamps or whatever they call them, Basecamps, right? Like they're the projects.
Projects?
Would create different ones, different projects for each project. But then like there's 5 of us. So would basically just add everyone to every single project that is in there. But all the conversation is kind of, like siloed off in each project. And with Twist, like it's just much more of a like fluid, like it uses like channels. But yeah, there's like I don't know, it just seems like it's all together. It's more like, it's kind of like a combination of like Slack and a threaded like message board or something to me.
Yeah, something or like Slack and email or something.
Slack and email, yeah. It's kind of it's a nice combo.
Yeah, it has an inbox, which I like, where it shows you any unread messages.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can just easily just go and scan through them, and it's all on the same page. Like it's a single page application, so you don't have to like click out to a completely new page and then come back to the inbox and do all that. And like Basecamp had a similar feature, but it's like a timeline, and it had a line down the middle of the screen and then like branches coming off of either side of it. And for some reason, like I started using the inbox in Twist, and it was just like, oh, this is so much better. Like I don't have to for some reason, I think like having things on different sides of the screen, just like, I don't know, doubled the amount of sort of background processing my brain had to do to put it all together. And yeah, so it's, I don't know. I do like it. Also, it's got Markdown.
The Markdown editor is so nice. It reminds me a lot of just using like the editor on GitHub with the Markdown mode and preview, and even like you can drag and drop images into I don't know if you knew that, into the Markdown editor like you can on GitHub, and it automatically inserts the image tag and uploads it for you.
Yeah, it's all really slick. So I don't know. I imagine in maybe another, like I've got vacation next week. So maybe after that, like we'll get together and compare notes. But I don't know. It seems like people like it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good.
If I had to decide a day, it's a keeper for me.
Yeah, I would go ahead and switch.
Me too.
It's interesting to me, like you alluded to this, Starr, as you were talking about comparing the two products and how they approach it. It's interesting to me, the UI, how much, even if it's the same kind of functionality, how much different takes on the user experience can make a different experience for the user, right? Like how it just feels different. It's like, oh yeah, it's basically doing the same thing, but it just feels better for whatever, like my mentality or our business, or you fill in the blank there, right? But
yeah,
I thought about that many times, like Honey Badger versus competitors. It's like, yeah, they're doing basically the same thing, but we do have differences in how we approach the UI and like different use patterns that we think are more emphasized by our UI versus the others. And sometimes it's just a matter of personal preference, right? It's like, oh, this just feels better to me. Like when I tried Python before I tried Ruby, and like Python's like, oh, that's interesting. But then Ruby really clicked in my brain. It's like, oh, it just feels better, right? And I'm sure other people have the opposite experience, but it's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird to me and kind of fun to think about the human part of these products that, yeah, they're basically doing the same thing, but it just feels right for whatever reason.
Yeah. And it's surprising how like the strong opinions that people pick up just based on those experience things when they're basically the same. If they're doing the same thing, some people get really, they either love it or hate it, and based on that. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it all goes back to like, whatever like business apps you used in childhood. It's just like, whatever your mom made you. For
it's like
you're always going to love that.
Yeah. It's like a nurture thing, nature versus nurture. You were exposed to these apps when you were young. And so it's just what you're drawn to. Yeah.
I remember putting my little friends' like contact details into Lotus Notes.
Right. I had to program Lotus Notes.
I got my first dev job because I knew Lotus Notes.
Oh,
Lotus Notes was important for us to know at the time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the bomb? You could do some pretty serious stuff.
Yeah. I kept having these jobs that weren't technically dev jobs, but ended up being dev jobs just because I knew how to like write like VBasic macros for Excel.
Do you know?
I'm sure a lot of people had that experience.
The thing I remember doing in Lotus Notes was like setting it up to ingest email, like from the outside, from the outside world into whatever the system. And thinking about it now, it's like, that's been like that project I've done over and over and over since then. And I'm like still doing that project.
It's Basecamp all over again.
No.
If only there was a service that like took in emails for you and then you could just bring them into your app data.
I bet in like 20 years, we'll be writing programs to accept email.
Process emails. Yeah.
Yeah.
When is this stuff going away?
Well,
like technology changes all the time. When is email going away? Like they've been killing it for years. It's like freaking Rasputin. Like when's it going away?
It's the cockroach of protocols.
There you go.
I mean, like after the singularity, they'll still have to like have a way to like import it directly into your consciousness. So, and I don't know. We'll still be building those integrations.
Spam filtering's really good then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was great talking with y'all. So this has been FounderQuest. Go to the Apple Podcast and review us if you want. If you're interested in writing for us, we are always looking for fresh new talent, young authors looking to make their mark on the world of technical blog posts for SaaS companies. And yeah, just go to our blog and look for the Write For Us page. And, we're also, I don't know, like I don't currently have any openings, but who knows, like people flake out. So if you're interested in writing these reports for us to get in touch, these sort of quarterly intelligence briefings, if you want to be an agent for our intelligence service. All right. So I'll see y'all later.
FounderQuest is a weekly podcast by the founders of Honey Badger. Zero instrumentation, 360-degree coverage of errors, outages, and service degradations for your web apps. If you have a web app, you need it. Available at honeybadger.io. Want more from the founders? Go to founderquestpodcast.com. That's one word, where you can access our huge back catalog of episodes. FounderQuest is available on iTunes, Spotify, and other purveyors of fine podcasts. We'll see you next week.